Do you know what food noise is and how it can play a role in our inability to lose weight? Well, I'd like to discuss that today, as well as how a GLP-1 medication can help alleviate those issues. And I also want to discuss the difference between simply being overweight and the disease of obesity. And I also think we need to have a chat about how to remove the shame and the guilt surrounding your weight and your weight loss failures. My name is Amy, and I'm on a journey to lose 180 pounds. So follow along with me as I document this process. Also, this is video number 3 in my 90-day challenge to see if a woman over 50 with no social media experience can post one video per week for 90 days. So let's start by discussing food noise. That little voice in your head that incessantly talks about food, makes you think about food, can't understand why you can't have food. It's just there nonstop, 24/7. When you're in a room full of people and there's food around, all you can focus is on the food. You're not necessarily hungry, but you just can't stop thinking about food. And the trouble with the food noise is that when you're trying to diet and lose weight, you just can't stop thinking about food. It makes trying to reduce your calories just absolutely torturous. However, the food noise isn't the whole reason why you can't lose weight. It does contribute to your inability to do that at some point because you always want to eat, even if you're not hungry. And not that you necessarily feel like you're addicted to food. And a lot of us with food noise don't really overeat. It's the absolute torture. Speaking from experience, where all I could ever think about was food. No matter what I did, I couldn't stop. The challenge is the food noise is really being triggered by a receptor in our brain that is telling us that we need to be at a certain weight. So when we're trying to reduce weight by eating less, cutting our calories, our brain is just telling us, no, sorry, we don't need to be at that weight. We need to be at the higher weight. And so it's just like fighting nature. No matter what you do, the weight is just not going to come off. Maybe sometimes you can be successful and lose weight for a bit of time, but then next thing you know, it's all back on plus more. And the real benefit to these GLP-1 medications, trizepatide and semaglutide, are that they target that receptor and tell it, no, you don't need to be 200, 300, 400 pounds. It helps regulate your body to what they call a lower set point. So each time you take the medication, it's telling you you don't need that food. So it quiets that food noise. And I would just like to remind everybody that while I'm talking about medical issues, I am not a medical professional. Please make sure that you are seeking any medical advice directly from a medical professional and do not rely on this to take care of your health. However, the information I provided in this video was presented in a podcast by Oprah Winfrey titled Oprah and Yale Researcher Break Down How Weight Loss Drugs Affect the Brain. Dr. Anya Yasterboff has been in the Yale program doing clinical trials on the GLP-1 medications, as well as has her own patients, and presented a great deal of information that I thought was very useful to pass on to other people. And that really surrounded around the conversation that obesity is a disease and not just a lack of willpower, that eating less and moving more would not solve my problem. The doctor went in to discuss how obesity is actually a neuroendocrine disease and it involves both our hormones and our brain, and that we need this medication to get our brain to respond in appropriate manner. So, and honestly, this podcast was kind of the tipping point for me, the aha moment, the light bulb moment that made me decide that I needed to try these GLP-1 medications, that they might actually be right for me and might help me lose weight once and for all. So that is why I wanted to share my struggles with food noise in hopes this message will help others who are struggling and be a catalyst for recognizing obesity as a disease, because it is technically all in our head, but it is not a figment of our imagination. The disease of obesity is a real problem. It is not someone who is simply overweight because they're just eating a little bit of excess food. It is really a problem with how our body works. And honestly, I didn't realize that people didn't have food noise. It wasn't until people really started having these open and honest conversations and started admitting that they were taking the medications to help, that I realized that not everybody thought about food all of the time. And then I realized the severity of my issue. I have had breakdowns, literally breakdowns, crying, sobbing because I was dieting and I just wanted one particular food, but it wasn't on the diet and I couldn't have it. So, that shame, like we need to start letting go of that shame. We are not a failure. This is our body doing this to ourselves, and there's nothing that we could do about it until we start taking medication that treats the disease. And it's akin to like diabetes. You can take medication to lower your blood sugar, but once you stop that medication, your blood sugar goes back up. So the GLP-1 medications are going to work in the same way. So I think we all need to think about this, that we might have to be on these medications at some level, some kind of maintenance or therapy for the rest of our lives to keep our bodies from putting on excess weight. And I, for one, while I'm not crazy about it, I, I need to do what I need to do. I need to live at a healthy weight. I need to do this for me. And again, I just want to encourage everybody to release the shame and the guilt that you may have about not being able to lose weight, not being able to keep the weight off, not being able to put the food down, not being able to eat exactly the right thing. Just let it go. This is not our fault, and use the tools that are there. We now have these wonderful medications that will help us manage our weight and help us realize our dreams. So, I just encourage everybody to be kind to yourself. And before I move on to my weigh ins, I'd like to encourage everybody to take the time to watch Oprah's podcast. It was definitely eye opening for me, and I think it provides a lot of good information that is just not shared with the general public. And if you've made it this far in the video, I just really want to thank you for being here. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share my videos with others. It's the best way that can help my channel grow. So let's get into the numbers. I started this journey on January 1st, 2025, weighing in at 304 pounds. At the end of the last video, I weighed in at 297 pounds for a total weight loss of 7 pounds. Now that was the results after the 4th shot. I took the 5th shot on that day, and then I weighed in the following week on March 22nd at 293 pounds. So I lost 4 pounds after that shot, which was fantastic because the prior time I had actually gained a pound. Now, at this point, I'm still on the Mochi trizepatide, the compounded version sold through their online pharmacy at 4.4 milligrams. So the next shot, shot 6, I took on March 22nd, and then I weighed in the following week at 295 pounds. So it was a gain of 2 pounds. And then my 7th shot I took on March 29th, and I weighed in the following week at 291 pounds. So I lost the 2 pounds that I'd gained plus 2 more for 4 pounds for that week for a total weight loss of 13 pounds. And then I took shot 8 on April 5th and weighed in the following week at 290 pounds. So that's 1 pound down, and with a total weight loss of 14 pounds. Now that was my final shot on the 4.4. So for my 9th shot, I went up to the 6.6, and I took that shot on April 12th, and I weighed in the following week on April 19th at 290 pounds. So that was a 0 pound change for a total weight loss of 14 pounds. So after the 9th shot, I didn't feel like my weight loss was where it should be. I felt like I was falling behind. I saw many other people all over social media losing much more weight, including actually my friends. They were almost doubling the weight that I had lost. So I decided to speak with my endocrinologist, and she suggested that I switch to the name brand to see if that might make a difference. So she prescribed me Zepbound from Lilly Direct, and I'll update you on my weigh ins once I start that medication. I can't wait to see how my journey goes, and I'm really hopeful that I'll lose the full 180 pounds and reach my goal weight of 124 pounds. Keep an eye out for my next videos. I have some great topics planned. My next video will be the 10 best things about living alone. Have a great day, everyone.